You know, I never actually ended up in a cemetery. They tried, but they couldn't find my body.
I wanted to make a 1-minute backwards house animation in a month, which by itself doesn't seem like a big deal, but in the span of about a month, I drew a total of 1,170 unique drawings. Yes, I went back and counted all of the frames. So in this video, I'm gonna go over the entire process and techniques I used to make this animation, and I hope it can help you with your animations and creative projects as well. And in the end, I'm gonna show you guys the total amount of hours I spent on this 1-minute animation. Feel free to guess now, it's bigger than you think. So let's get started. There are actually a pretty unusual set of circumstances that led me to make a backwards house animation specifically. If you follow my channel, you may have noticed a dip in uploads this past few months, and that's because college has picked up quite a bit. For my animation class, we were assigned to do like an animation exercise every 1 to 2 weeks, which sapped my energy for animation and definitely slowed me down on videos this semester. But hey, at least my professor was only okay with rough animation, because if I had to clean it up, it would take over twice as long. But for the last 5 weeks, we had to make a 30-second to 1-minute animated film for our final project, and we could do whatever we wanted. There were a few things I knew I wanted going into this animation. I wanted to at least try to work with voice actors. I love animating characters talking. It's where I thrive in animation, it's my favorite. Small problem is casting characters can take a bit. Like for the Wings of Fire animation, the casting call was open for a couple weeks, and then it took about a week to get the lines from the characters. With a deadline as strict as a month, I want the lines as soon as possible, so that's a complication. I didn't want to use any of my human OCs, which is all of them, because I knew I'd get too ambitious and I'd burn myself out. And the last one goes in hand with 2, is 3. The designs had to be simple, especially if I wanted to clean it up. Also, obviously, no fandom content, because this is a class, unless I could possibly get the permission of the creator. So what could I animate that would fulfill all of these requirements? Completely unrelated, but for those who don't know, The Backwards House is a mascot horror comic created by Skynex Art here on YouTube. It's about Curious Cat who finds themselves in a house filled with cartoon animals, and they must find a way to escape before it's too late. And a very special thing about this project is I worked on it. I worked as a cleanup animator on the VHS tape animation and a character and background artist on the comic. Having animated them for the VHS animation, I can say for sure these characters are very animation friendly. I also had contact with the voice actors of the official comic dub, so I could save valuable time casting for new characters and get the lines from these guys as soon as possible. Upon request, Sky gave me a 30-second script and I tweaked it a bit. I gave him the prompt of a children's cartoon lesson with a dark twist, and he sure did deliver. And I would like to say right now, it was not canon when Sky gave me this script, and it's even more not canon when I tweaked and added some stuff to it. Yeah. So please consider this just a fan animation and not tied to the official comic or lore or anything. I just want to have fun. You'll see why I have to make this disclaimer. I am also not gonna tell you what Sky wrote and I tweaked because I think it's more fun that way. So I had 5 weeks to create an animated short, with 1 week being needed for pre-production, so I really had a month. Enough with the preamble, let's just get into week 1.
Hello, children. Today we will be singing the ABCs with my friend, Curious Cat.
Starting from week 1, I started on the storyboard and did it in my animation program ToonBoom to speed up the process. A concern early on in this project was how long the animation is actually going to be. In screenwriting, a page of script is typically 1 minute long. The script came to about half a page, so I was praying it'd be 30 seconds long. The longer the animation was, the more time I would need to spend on it. I started by recording the dialogue myself so I could space out the boards and see how long the animation actually was. This is pretty standard when making animations and is called scratch audio. Audio recorded by artists to later be replaced by voice actors. Hello children! Today we will be singing the ABCs. Composed by me, of course. By the end of the week, Chloe Breeze, the voice actor for Curious Cat, submitted her lines, as well as scratch audio for Odd Dog singing lines. She also included a backing track of children singing along with Odd Dog and Curious Cat that gets progressively more messed up as time goes on, which was a nice touch.
A is for afraid, B is for blood, C is for cemetery.
So this is what I had by the end of week 1. I think I spent like an hour on the storyboard, starting out pretty light here. I didn't want to jump too early into the animation without getting Odd Dog's lines. So with that, let's get into
A is for apple, B is for banana, C is for carrot. Your turn, curious cat.
a couple days into week 2, I had a VA session with PC, the voice actor of Odd Dog. With all of the lines I needed for the animation, I could now see how long the animation would actually end up being, and it came out to a total of 56 seconds. 4 seconds under the maximum. Yep, so that meant this animation was likely gonna take twice the amount of time and effort it would be if it was just 30 seconds. Oh well, that's how it typically goes with projects, for me. Still, I was pretty confident I understood how much animation I really needed to do in order to meet this 1 month deadline. And a big part of that is organization and planning, which is why I use this video sponsor Milanote to help me out with that. Milanote is a tool for organizing creative projects. The best way I can describe Milanote is a borderless note-taking app where you can drag and rearrange notes, images, and drawings to your liking. Milanote can be used for many things, like creating schedules, grouping references, writing ideas down, you name it. I want to show you guys how I organized this project through Milanote. First, I started off by choosing one of Milanote's many templates. They are very customizable, plug and play, and are a great starting point for any project. I chose the animation storyboard template. I used a column for each shot of my storyboard with details and descriptions underneath. Laying it all out like this helped me break down the whole film, shot by shot, to see how much I actually needed to do. For the film, I wanted an episode title card you would see in like an actual children's cartoon. I had trouble figuring out what I wanted for the title card, so I added a board which fit into the column. Inside the board, I dragged any references I wanted. With Milanote's draw feature, I was able to quickly sketch ideas of what I wanted. As an artist, I really like Milanote's draw feature. I created lists for everything else I needed for the animation, like props and backgrounds. You might be shocked to learn I'm a visual person, so I love being able to drag my drawings on my board to see what I've done. What's great about Milanote is it's cross-platform. I drew some of the props and backgrounds on my iPad. With my Milanote app, I was able to check them off and drag them onto my board, which was very convenient. I also wanted to keep track of this animation week by week, so I created a timeline for myself and updated it to see what I did each week. Lastly, I used tables to keep track of progress of every shot. Using Milanote was a vital tool in organizing my animation and keeping me on track. I'd highly recommend it to anyone who is looking for a creative tool to organize their projects. Milanote is available for free with no time limit, so sign up with the link in the description to give it a try. Thank you Milanote for sponsoring this video. Now let's talk about the animation progress I got done for week 2. I knew if I wanted to finish this animation, I would need to keep a steady, consistent pace. And let me tell you, I did not slack this week. In a few sessions, I had put around a total of 5 hours and 39 minutes in the animation. I had rough animated the entire 56 seconds. I was really excited about this because if I could take a week to do each stage of the animation, being storyboard, rough animation, tie down, cleanup, and compositing, I could completely finish the animation within the time frame. For those who don't know, rough animation is basically like the first rough sketch of an art piece. In this stage, you are trying to capture the movement and life of this animation. Consistency is less of a priority. Tie downs is the stage where you refine the animation. This is where you try to keep the character on model. Think of it like a second, more refined sketch. So I had 3 weeks left to do 3 more stages of animation. I think I can do it.
A is for art, B is for ball, C is for cat.
Good.
Week 3 out of 5, I started by implementing some of my professor's notes. I changed the square aspect ratio to 1920 by 1080 so I could give the characters some more room to breathe, and tried to improve on exaggerating poses. In the tie-down stage, I had to focus on keeping the characters consistent. Specifically Odd Dog's face, I changed it a lot in the rough animation just cause I hadn't really figured him out in my own style yet. So I took the time to make a reference sheet for Odd Dog and Curious Cat. Now would be a good time to talk about why I am doing this in my style rather than the backwards house style. Since I animated on the trailer, couldn't I just animate this in the official backwards house style? Well, not exactly. We were given pretty clean static sketches and our job was to imitate the style and then add the in-betweens. That was us. But I don't know how to do the style from scratch and I would have to take time to study the style and I just don't have time for that in this 1-minute animation due in a month. I could also animate way faster in my own style and animation style, and that's the priority right now. This would also help differentiate this being my thing instead of an official backwards house thing, because remember, this is a fan animation and not canon. I hope that clears up any questions on that. Onto what I actually did animation-wise this week. So was I able to do what I hoped for and get the entire tie down of the 10 shots done for this week? Well, in week 3, I had tied down 1 shot and had made decent progress on shot 2, which is not tying down 10 total shots. I'd only put like a couple hours and 13 minutes into this week, which is not a lot. But okay, this might be snorting copium, but I wasn't too concerned that I wasn't making massive progress, since next week was Thanksgiving break where I had Thursday and Friday completely off. I would have more time to work on it comfortably at home.
A is for afraid, B is for blood, C is for cemetery.
Wait, what?
Week 4. I'm proud to say I got the new highest time record of 8 hours and 15 minutes. How much did I manage to get done? I must be at least close to tying up the shots, right? Haha, nope. For week 4, I finished tying down shots 1, 2, 3, and 4 out of 10. I am still not too worried yet. I know this sounds familiar, but hear me out, guys, okay? There's this one little piece of advice to start on your hardest shots first, and I agree with this. This is to pace yourself and to help you see the whole scope of the project. And the difficulty of the shots for this aligned pretty well from start to beginning, so I just followed that for simplicity's sake. The first half of the animation is way more intensive compared to the second half, so I don't mind if I spend more time on it. And that's the end of week 4, so it's now time for...
You know, I never actually ended up in a cemetery. They tried, but they couldn't find my body.
Week 5 is, this is the last week, isn't it? Yeah, tie down, am I right? It takes longer than rough because you're trying to keep the character on model while still trying to preserve the energy of the rough animation. If I wanted to finish this animation in time, in 1 week, I would need to tie down the rest of the shots, clean up, color, do the backgrounds, and composite. But as unlikely as it seems, I actually managed. I cleaned up 1 shot and finished the tie down for the rest of the animation, but I cleaned up 1 shot. And let me tell you, I really did try hard. I put my new best of 10 hours and 18 minutes into it. Animation takes a long time. As a single person, there's not really much you can do. You know the feeling when you turn off your sketch layer and your line art looks significantly worse? Yeah, imagine that, but it's 20 consecutive images. I really did try with this animation. I guess, like, I could have done way more in the other weeks, but at that weight, I probably would have had to crunch big time. And with my other classes, I just don't want to put myself through that if I can help it. At this point, I was fine with turning it in and letting this animation go. Until, in class, my professor told us, instead of the animation due this class, I'll move it to next class to make the portfolio assignment optional. Instead of ending before finals week like some of my other classes, he would give us another week to work on it and we would meet on finals week instead. So, come along with me, one last time, on to week 6.
And that's all for today, folks. Tune in tomorrow for the next 3 letters of the alphabet.
I might actually be able to submit a finished final. Sure, 9 shots seems like a whole lot, but I was confident I could do it. Now, some of you might have your doubts. I understand. It took me 10 hours to tie down the second half of the animation and do 1 shot of cleanup. But listen, my schedule went from this to this. I had like an hour on campus and pretty much all of my other classes had wrapped up. Now I could spend all my time and effort on this animation compared to the scraps of time I had to find it in between other classes. And we're gonna go day by day this week because it was insane. Thursday was the long day of college. We got the announcement, so I was only able to work on it for like half an hour on shot 2. But it's okay, this is not the pop-off day yet. This doesn't count. Friday, I had got a total of 6 hours and 20 minutes down. My butt was planted in my chair. Not a single blade of grass or ray of sun touched me that day. I had finished lining shots 2 and 3 with some progress on shot 4. Saturday, 4 hours and 20 minutes. I know, everyone laugh. I continued to work on shot 4, which was the longest shot with Curious Cat. I knew if I was able to get this shot done, it'd be more or less downhill in the amount of work I needed to do. Sunday, I finished up shots 3 and 4, and I wasn't wrong when I said the second half of the animation would be significantly faster. Remember the chart? I managed to finish shots 6, 7, 8, and 9 in a total of 2 hours and 51 minutes. Okay, Monday. 2 hours and 40 minutes into working on the animation on Monday, 3 days before the deadline, I finished up the line art for the entire animation, and I started compositing. Compositing is basically like combining the backgrounds, the animation, adding lighting, and any extra pieces you might need. This is the final product the audience will see. Tuesday, compositing continued over onto Tuesday. Aha, did you guys actually know there was a secret second bar underneath this first progress bar? I like never consider how long compositing takes because I'm so focused on the animation. It's especially bad with this animation because I want to have silly fun backgrounds in the ABC segments and then have it get more glitchy and corrupted in the second half when it takes a dark twist. That's why the animation was pretty easy in the second half because I was banking on the compositing to sell it, and now it was time for me to pay for my decision. So another good 4 hours and 20 minutes of my life, and I had a good chunk of it composited. Wednesday. This was the last official day I had to work on this animation. I was running out of time, so I had my friend Vic help me color, and I paid her, by the way. Pay your artists and voice actors for real. And it was all just compositing from here, and let me tell you, I was genuinely decaying, bro. This animation had taken over my life. In my notes, all I have for this section was finished compositing, comma, excruciating exclamation mark, which I think is funny. I poured my last good 3 hours and 53 minutes into this animation for Wednesday, and thankfully, I finished it. And it was really nice because I didn't have to pull an all-nighter like I expected. And I've kept you all waiting long enough. Last chance to guess how long I spent on this entire thing. And without further ado, here's the final animation.
Hello, children. Today we will be singing the ABCs with my friend, Curious Cat.
What?
Ahem. A is for apple. B is for banana. C is for carrot. Your turn, Curious Cat.
A is for art. B is for ball. C is for cat.
Good. A is for afraid. B is for blood. C is for cemetery.
Wait, what?
Hando, I never actually ended up in a cemetery. They tried, but they couldn't find my body. And that's all for today, folks. Tune in tomorrow for the next 3 letters of the alphabet.
This isn't canon.
I am very proud of myself for finishing this animation, but I definitely would not have finished it without that extra week and additional 28 hours. Alright, do you want to know the total amount of time it took? It took 54 total hours. For a better visual, here are a couple graphs showing the total amount of time I spent on this animation, distributed by days and weeks. You can see both graphs spike towards the end. Animation takes a while, and I hope I can communicate that thoroughly through my videos, so please don't try to force yourself into a deadline that you will have to crunch big time for. if it's self-enforced. Not looking at the animation industry right now. I am not looking at the animation industry right now. I am also glad I did this in class because my professor gave me a lot of helpful advice on the animation. Another reason why I think it came out well. I'm super happy I'm an animation major because it does feel like I'm improving as an animator and artist. So yeah, that's about it for this video. I would like to thank Skynex for letting me do this to his characters. He was very chill with it. Thanks, Sky. And I would like to thank the VAs for letting me use their voices. They were very pleasant to work with. And thank you for coming along with me on this journey. I absolutely love doing big animation videos like this. I would like to do more of them. They will happen. I will do more of these. Also, I haven't said this yet, but go check out the Backwoods House if you haven't already. It had a Kickstarter and it did very well. So we will be getting a full volume and a comic dub every couple of chapters. So please go check out Skynex's channel if you're interested in that. It's really good, you guys. Alright, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Keep creating. Koi out.